or turning a page difficult or impossible. The content is copyrighted by the respective publishers. For more information, please visit us on the web at nfradioreading.org.
Hello, this is Brian Mendola, and for the next hour, I'll be reading from the July 30th, 2026 issue of the East Aurora Advertiser on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Let's get started. Headline: Iroquois School Board discusses filling vacancy by Shelley Ferrero. The Iroquois School Board must decide how to fill a newly vacant seat after board members Henry Sesmala III resigned, leaving members to weigh a faster appointment against the costs and logistics of a special election. He was elected in 2025 to a 5-year term. During the reorganizational meeting on July 14th, Superintendent Doug Schofield outlined several options to fill the vacancy, including board members appointing a replacement, holding a special election, and allowing the district superintendent to appoint someone. He said he did not recommend delaying the decision. Quote, appointing someone is the most efficient, Schofield said, noting that a special election would likely not see a new board member until November. And until November would replace a significant workload on the district clerk. Several board members said they want more information before deciding. Board member Kenneth Viron said he preferred the board making an appointment over involving the district superintendent, but stressed that the process should be transparent and equitable. Quote, I don't think it is the right optics for the superintendent to appoint someone that looks like we don't have any level of authority or control, Viron said. He continues, so in my opinion, I'm leaning towards the appointment portion of it. Board member Caitlin Lezia suggested board members nominate former candidates for the position rather than opening the process to anyone interested. Lezia was elected earlier this year, but also ran in 2025 against Simulza and 3 other candidates. Newly appointed board president David Lowry said he contacted 7 school districts that he recently filled both board vacancies. He said none of them held special elections. Instead, districts appointed replacements using approaches that included reviewing past board member candidates, contacting former board members or accepting applications, and interviewing candidates, with several recommending the use of selection rubric. Schofield noted that if the board member appoints someone, 2 board seats will appear on the May 2027 ballot. The top voter would receive the full 5-year term, while the second place finisher would complete the remainder of Smolza's term, which will be for 3 years. Ultimately, the board reached a consensus to move forward with an appointment rather than a special election. Mishlik suggested offering the position first to the highest finishing unsuccessful candidates from the 2025 school board election, saying the candidates have already been vetted by the community. In the 2025 election, Smolza received 410 votes to win the seat. The remaining candidates were Lisa Starr with 243 votes, Ledzia 196, Anna Peets 158, and Bredessa Brady Zapowski at 112 votes. Also at the meeting, board members Viron and Lowry were nominated to serve as board president until June 30, 2027. They each outlined their qualification before the board member has voted. Viron said that his experience as a parent of the 4 Iroquois graduates and current students, along with serving the board serving several years on the board as vice president, became president of the natural progression. I've had my finger on the pulse of what's going on, Viron said. I had adjusted my calendar to make sure that I am present during the meetings. I want to be a facilitator. Lowry pointed out to his previous service as the Iroquois Board President and Vice President, his 8 years as Executive Director of the Erie County Association of School Boards, his roles of the New York State School Board Association Area 1 Director, and his seat on the Erie 2 Chautauqua Cattaraugus BOCES Board. I get to 45 different meetings throughout the year, and I see what's happening in and around them, Lowry said. Former board president Malek said, questioned both the candidates as he asked Veron would she had enough time to fulfill responsibility as board president. Veron had adjusted his schedule to accommodate the role. Malek also questioned Lowry about potential conflicts between his works with the New York State School Board Association and the interest of the Iroquois citing the state's electric school bus mandate. Lowry said he would recuse himself if such conflict arose and said he did not recall the association supporting the mandate. Veron withdrew his acceptance of being nominated at the board, voted for Lowry as president. Heather Becker was nominated and voted as in vice president. The school will meet at the special meeting at 8 a.m. Wednesday, August 5th at room 96 in the STEM room in the middle school on Girdle Road. Next headline, silenced in public. Elma residents removed from the meeting after dispute over public comment, by Shelley Ferrero. An Elma resident who had been frequent critic of the development projects in the Springbrook area said he was handcuffed and removed from the July 21st Town of Elma Planning Board meeting after attempting to speak about Project 6177 Seneca Street, which was an item on the evening's agenda. Robert Gross said he wanted to address what he described as an 8 code violation, including the proposal by developer Todd Huber, owner of Building Solutions, to convert a 2-unit building into 4 apartments. According to Gross, he requested the privilege of the floor while Huber was finishing his presentation, but he was told he could not speak. The agenda for the July 21st meeting does have a time schedule for privilege on the floor, which is for the public's comments. They told me they weren't going to listen to me, Gross said. I live in that area, and there are code violations that should be addressed. End quote. Gross said he continued speaking despite being told to stop. He said the county sheriff's deputy attempted to remove him from the building. I said, if you're going to keep me out of here, you're going to have to arrest me and put me in handcuffs, Gross said. Planning Board Chairman Mike Sirocco was contacted by phone and confirmed that Gross was placed in handcuffs, but he denied commenting further of the situation or elaborating on why, how, if the board felt threatened by Gross, and why law enforcement became involved. Gross said he was handcuffed and escorted out of the building and out of the meeting, where he met with New York State trooper who was on duty at the time. After explaining what happened, he said the trooper spoke with the planning board officials. The board allowed Gross to return and speak for approximately 3 minutes. Gross said no criminal charges were filed. Said the confrontation followed months of attempting to address the planning board about this project. He's also been in town board meetings and zoning board meetings. Gross said the possible code violations, including parking violations, landscaping plans, lot size requirements, stormwater runoff, and septic. Gross and Sirocco previously instructed him to write down his concerns and submitted them to the Code of Enforcement Officer Joe Corren, so he could be placed on a planning board meeting agenda. Gross said he complied, but later learned his comments had been removed from the agenda. I did exactly what they told me to do. Now they're denying me the right to speak. Gross, a military veteran, said he believed that he should have been allowed to address the board regarding the development of the occurring near the property. Town Supervisor Wayne Clark denied and declined to comment directly on Gross's grievances with the developing, saying he did not want to become involved. Clark acknowledged that the law enforcement officer have attended recent meetings because Gross had became disruptive. Quote, "We're making sure somebody's around here," Clark said, adding to Gross, who has been been pretty unruly, unquote. Calderon disputed Gross's claim that the property contains code violations. We didn't have code violations on the property currently on 6177 Seneca Street, Calderon said. He explained that while the project required relief from proportions of the town code, Huber obtained the necessary approval through the town review's process. According to Colhern, the property lies within the C1 zoning district and Springbrook multiple dwelling over the district, which permits multiple family residential development. Huber also obtained the vacancies through the zoning board appeals and site plan approval from the planning board. Colhern said Colhern. The applicant went to the town board meeting, plan board and zoning board. Colhern said, all those entities within the town felt as though this plan was okay. Colhern said. Gross's issues were addressed during the planning board review. The planning board approved the parking. That's where the job is. He added the Springbrook Volunteer Fire Company also reviewed the plans for emergency access and parking. The town board granted a preliminary business use permit in April. Colhern and Huber must complete all required improvements, including construction of garage approved through the variance process before returning to the town board for the final business use permit. According to the minutes from the June 2nd Alma Zone Board of Appeals meeting, Huber received approval from the area's variance allowing construction of the front porch overhang regarding the garage and attached two-story deck with reduced setbacks. The minutes show Gross spoke in opposition to the application, arguing the project rather than increase in non-conformity of the property and raise concerns of the septic's capacity. Board Chair Herr Korick limited Gross's comments related to the variance request after Gross attempted to revisit previous plan boarding discussion. The zoning board approval of the variances unanimously. Gross and his wife, Lori Welder, had spent years raising concerns about Huber's project and efforts, aligning environmental violations, improper dumping, storm runoff, wetland impacts, and inconsistent enforcement of the town code. Weeder said concerns date back to 2016, when she first reported what she believed was disposal of construction and demolition debris. Despite the ravine nearly federal protected wetlands, she cited notices of violations issued by the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, or DEC, photographs, freedoms of information laws requested a correspondence with state and federal agencies. The documents show that in 2017, Huber was cited by the DEC for illegally dumping black-colored material at 6170 Seneca Street, which backs up Gross's and Wiedmer's property. The material with which DEC described as being uncontaminated soil unsuitable for residential development came from the subdivision that Huber was developing in Hamburg. He was fined $7,500 in order to remove all of the material to the appropriate dump. The fine was later reduced to the civil penalty of $1,500. Gross said Huber continued to dump leftover construction materials down the ravine near Gross's property, like asphalt millings, cinder blocks, and other materials. In November 2024, Gross tested one of the cinder blocks at the ravine and it tested positive for lead paint. Gross tested one of the cinder blocks, which was positive for lead paint. Runoff from the site ultimately drains toward the Casanova Creek, and he is concerned about the water being contaminated by the debris as well. Gross said he was reported the concerns of multiple agencies, including the DEC, and representatives involved in the wetlands oversight. Everyone's pointing their fingers to someone else. The DEC said it didn't have the resources to test for lead. I don't know why. I got a test kit at Lowe's and just tested it positive. Weeder and Gross have also challenged the town of Alma and Building Solutions in court. The case against the town was Article 78 and was filed in 2021. That was later disposed. The case against Huber and his other businesses were filed in 2022 in Erie County Supreme Court above the environmental concerns and illegal dumping near their property. In November 2025, the judge dismissed the sightings of statute of limitations because Huber was fined by the state in 2017. Any case against him should have been filed within the 3 years of the offense taking place. Weeder maintained that contamination and runoff continued to affect their property and that flooding had worsened over time. She alleges that the fill place on the neighboring property altered the drainage patterns and contributed to the standing water in the areas that were previously dry. The couple said they remained frustrated with the local government officials and board members, arguing that their concerns have not received the adequate consideration. In addition to Gross's criticizing proposals, future development plans, including potential solar projects, and alleged that parking setbacks and overlay district requirements have not been consistently enforced. The planning board approved Huber's latest plan for the 6177 Seneca Street during the July 21st meeting. The project was required completion of the approval improvements before the final occupancy approvals are issued by the town. Wheeler and Gross say they will continue documenting conditions on their property and sharing this information regarding to its regulatory agencies. You are listening to a reading of articles and features of the East Aurora Advertiser on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Let's continue. Honoring the Voting Rights Act. The League of Women Voters of Buffalo United Coalition and Main Street Movement will host its conversations along the canal from 1 to 3, Saturday, August 8th, at Gateway Harbor Pavilion, 1 Yonge Street in Tonawanda, to commemorate the anniversary of the Voting Rights Act of 1965 and encourage civic engagement. The event is part of a statewide day of action that will bring communities together alongside New York Canal System to celebrate voting rights and promote participation in the democratic process. Organizers say the Erie Canal played a significant role in the women's suffrage movement by helping transport activists, distributing printed material, and spread reformed ideas across New York. Canal communities became centers of abolitionist and suffrage activism, culminating the events in such of the 1848 Seneca Falls Convention. Historical features included Harriet Staten Blanche, daughter of Elizabeth Cady Stanton, traveled the canal corridor by boat while campaigning for women's voting rights, often displaying, quote, "Votes for Women" banners during the speaking tours. The August 8 gathering is intended to honor that legacy while encouraging residents to become informed voters and engaged in conversations with family and friends and neighborhoods to inspire others to register, volunteer, and vote. Organizers said the event is designed to celebrate the expansion of voting rights while reaffirming the importance of civic participation, emphasizing that every conversation matters, every voice matters, and every vote truly matters. Events happening at the Alma Library. The following events is taking place in Alma Public Library at 1860 Bowen Road in Alma. Registering for classes can be called by calling the library at 716-652-2719. That's 716-652-2719 for the Alma Public Library. The Job Fair. In participation with the New York State Department of Labor, a job fair will take place 1 to 3 p.m. on Friday, August 7th. Many local businesses will be attending. Professional attire is recommended, and make sure to bring several copies of your resume. Foam party. 6 feet of safe, allergenic-free, hypoallergenic, and biodegradable foam solution will be available at 2 p.m. on Saturday, August the 8th to play in. Participants should arrive early and sign a waiver form to participate. Fossil Frenzy Play Cafe. Young paleontologists can dig in the sand filled with fossils, crack open baking soda eggs, and explore with a digital microscope, and more from 2 to 3 p.m. on Wednesday, August 12th. Murphy earns President List. Adam Murphy of East Aurora was named the Spring 2026 President President's List of Ohio University have achieved a 4.0 grade point average. Teen recovering after cardiac emergency at Knox Park. A 17-year-old male is recovering after suffering a cardiac emergency during a soccer event at Knox Park in July 25th, after the actions of bystanders, first responders, and emergency personnel. The East Aurora Fire Department was dispatched at 6:30 p.m. to the Knox Park soccer fields for a report of a teenager experiencing a seizure. While firefighters were en route, dispatched advised that the participant had become unresponsive and bystanders had begun performing CPR. East Aurora Fire Department emergency medical technicians arrived at 6:38 p.m. and found the teen unresponsive and not breathing and without a pulse. CPR was already underway by the Bowensville Fire Department and members of the coaching staff. According to the fire department, the Bowensville firefighter had attached an automated external defibrillator, or AED, and developed one shock at East Aurora firefighters arrived. Firefighters then continued advanced life-saving care and intervention. Approximately 2 minutes later, the participant achieved return spontaneous circulation, or ROSC, meaning his heart resumed beating on its own. He began breathing independently. Erie County Emergency Services paramedics arrived at the scene at 6:44 p.m., assumed advanced medical care before transporting the teen to Mercy Hospital of Buffalo for further cardiac treatment. The East Aurora Fire Department credited the rapid response team of the workers and the Bowensville firefighter coaching staff at East Aurora Fire Department, East Aurora Police Department, and Erie County EMS for its positive outcome. The patient is recovering in the hospital and is expected to make a full recovery, according to the department report. Our next headline: Aurora Police Department unlicensed driver receives a felony charge. A 63-year-old female from East Aurora had her license permanently revoked following a traffic stop at Porterville Road at 8:30 p.m. Thursday, July 23rd. According to the report, a vehicle was traveling eastbound at Girdle Avenue, and a DMV inquiry revealed that the registered owner of the vehicle had revoked its license. A traffic stop was initiated. Contact was made with the subject, who identified herself as New York State identification card. The subject was asked if she had a valid driver's license, and she responded that she did not because her license was revoked from a previous DWI conviction. A further inquiry revealed that her license to be revoked from a prior conviction in April 2017 in the town of Orchard Park. The driver was Barbara Hannell, who was prosecuted at roadside and issued a felony charge on aggravated unlicensed operation. Aurora Town Justice Jeffrey Markello was notified by telephone that he had advised that Hannell was released on an appearance ticket. A notice to appear for processing was issued, and she was advised to report to the station for processing following the arraignment. A 40-year-old male from Kenmore took over the operating of the vehicle. In an unrelated incident, a 24-year-old male from Buffalo was charged with aggravated unlicensed operation of a motor vehicle in the third degree, following a traffic stop that occurred on Main Street at 10 p.m., Wednesday, July 22nd. According to the report, a vehicle was traveled on the westbound on Main Street. A DMV inquiry conducted revealing that vehicle to have expired registration as of July 1st and a traffic stop, which was initiated. The subject was identified by his name and date of birth upon request of the driver's license. A reveal of his license to be suspended for failing to answer a summons for the town of Concord on June 15th, failing to answer 2 summons in the town of Ellicottville on May 3rd. The subject was advised of the suspension and processed roadside without incident. The 24-year-old female registered owner of the vehicle from Cheektowaga took possession of the vehicle. In a further unrelated incident, a 19-year-old male from East Aurora was charged with aggravated unlicensed operation of a motor vehicle following a traffic stop on Holwood Road at 1 a.m. Sunday, July 26. According to the report, a vehicle was traveling eastbound on Quaker Road, was near with a near rear plate and traffic stop was initiated. The subject was identified by his driver's license, stating that his friend was also the registered owner of a registered owner. A 29-year-old male from Orchard Park allowed him to operate the vehicle, but the plates were surrendered. A DMV inquiry revealed that the subject's license to be suspended for failing to answer a summons out of the city of Lackawanna. The subject was processed roadside, and a 23-year-old male passenger from Buffalo operated the vehicle from the scene. Identity theft. A 46-year-old male from East Aurora reported an identity theft at 11 a.m. Tuesday, July 21st. The complaint started with his 49-year-old sister had been using and charging things off the deceased's father's credit card. According to the report, the complaint provided a copy of father's death certificate, which was dated June 1st, and a credit card statement showing the transactions on his credit card dated after his death, and the amount of over $1,800. The complaint reportedly stated that the sister claims to be the power of attorney for the deceased and can use said credit card whenever she wanted to. The complaint was advised to contact the banks and report the death of the credit card holder to see if any other person is named on the account and authorized as a card holder. The complaint reportedly stated the card is used under the victim's name and subject had been used it illegally. The complaint was provided a necessary measure documentation from the credit card company once he had reported the deaths of his credit card holder. The investigation is still under investigation. Stolen items. An employee of a business on Main Street reported larceny at 10 p.m. on Wednesday, July 22nd. According to the report, a second employee at the business stated that the two tables of an umbrella stands located on the sidewalk in front of the business were taken from the property between the hours of 3 p.m. July 21st and 10 p.m. July 22nd. The complaint stated that it is unsure when they were taken from the property and they did not have cameras on the premises. A camera was identified outside of the neighboring business and contact will be made with the owner to inquire about the camera's footage he has. Harassment. A 54-year-old female from West Falls reported the noise complaint on Friday, July 24th at midnight. According to the report, the victim stated a 35-year-old male from West Falls had been mowing his lawn since about 10 p.m. The subject advised of the complaint and asked to mow the lawn at a better time. The report said the subject reluctantly agreed. After clearing the call, the victim stated that she could hear the subject yelling profanities on her surveillance cameras. The victim said the subject was speaking to his wife in that driveway and threatened to keep the neighbors up all night. The victim had heard the lawnmower started back up and shut back off. The subject also got into his pickup truck and began driving onto the lawn. The victim called the dispatch for a second time, but the report says the victim is fearful of the subject and wished to press charges. She was advised to pursue charges against the subject. After officers left the scene, the reporter says the victim saw the subject parked his pickup facing her house, approximately 75 feet away. The pickup's high beams were turned on, lighting several other rooms in the victim's house. The subject reportedly sat in his back pickup with the high beams on and the cab light on for approximately an hour and a half. The victim closed her blinds and locked her doors and windows. The victim stated that she had multiple issues with the subject for about 2 years, including noise complaints and verbal threats, as she stated is uncomfortable in her own home. Later that day, the victim came to the station to pursue charges and in an order of protection. A written statement was obtained at multiple video recordings of the subject corroborating the victim's statement that were viewed. The request of the criminal summons and full order of protection was forwarded to the town of Aurora court. In a similar incident, a 63-year-old female from West Falls reported a neighbor dispute at 10 p.m. on Saturday, July 25th. According to the report, the subject was mowing his lawn and causing a disturbance. Upon arrival, the subject told the police he's done mowing his lawn and was advised of said complaint. Petty larceny. A 44-year-old male from Orchard Park reported a possible identity theft at 9:30 Saturday, July 25th. According to the report, the victim stated and received notification from Allstate Identity Protection telling him that there had been 2 new credit accounts opened to his name on July 21st. The report says the victim stated that he did not open the new accounts, nor did he apply for any new credit cards. In addition, the victim discovered that the unknown subject opened the Target credit card in his name and spent $99 of it. The victim also found that the subject attempted to open a Home Depot loan. The victim notified Home Depot of the incident and that were able to cancel the loan before it was approved. Target was made aware of this incident, and the investigation grew even further. The victim was notified Social Security and Federal Trade Commission and each credit bureau. The victim did not notice any other unusual activity throughout his personal accounts. Unattended death. A welfare check was called for a 76-year-old male in East Aurora at 1 p.m. Sunday, July 26th. The complaint: the individual's daughter called to report that she had not been able to get a hold of him for several days, and he had missed his Meals on Wheels delivery on July 24th. Neighbors were reported that they did not see the man for several days. Entry was made into the apartment via unlocked side door at the exterior of the building. While inside of the apartment, the man was found to be deceased. The daughter stated the complaints that suffered from the health issues had not been in good health recently. The report says that there is nothing suspicious observed. An ambulance responded to the scene, and to confirm the male is deceased, the deceased's doctor was contacted and agreed to sign the death certificate. Erie County Medical Examiner's Office was contacted and stated that they did not need to respond due to the circumstances and comorbidities. A funeral home was contacted per the request of the family and responded to the scene, taking possession of the said body. Photos of the scene were taken at the apartment that was secured. You're listening to a reading of articles and features from the East Aurora Advertiser on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. As we continue. Referral to another agency. A report of a lift assist was made to a 77-year-old male from East Aurora at 8 a.m. Thursday, July 30th. According to the report, the subject of the fall stated he had been on the ground for approximately 3 hours and could not get up. Lacerations were observed by both of his knees and his right arm. He also assisted back upright. An ambulance was requested to the scene for the medical evaluation. The household was canvassed, and the living conditions were observed to be extremely unsanitary. There were multiple piles of feces on the floor of the subject, who had stated had been there for 10 days. The subject stated that he was unable to physically clean them up. There was minimal food in the fridge and garbage throughout the house. Adulted Protective Services was contacted, and a referral was made for the subject. Our next headline: Coast employees raise money for Patricia Allen Fund. Employees at the Coast Professional Incorporated raised $21,610 during the second quarter to benefit the Patricia Allen Fund, supporting pediatric critical care services at the Golisano Children's Hospital of Buffalo. The employee-led donation, the largest in the company's history, was presented on July 20th at the Coast headquarters of Geneseo. The fundraiser efforts was part of the Coast Quarterly Dress Down charity initiative, which allows employees to vote on a nonprofit selected for employee nominations. Workers chose the Patricia Allen Foundation because it ties in with Western New York and its mission to support children and its families facing serious medical challenges. Established in 2020, the partnership with the Buffalo Bills quarter Josh Allen and his family, the Patricia Allen Foundation, honors Allen's grandmother, Patricia Allen. The fund grew out of the Nation movement, in which Bills fans donated $17 increments, recognizing Allen's jersey number. Following Patricia Allen's death, today the fund continues through Team 17, a community of recurring donors supporting the pediatric care at Golisano Children's Hospital. Throughout the quarter, Coast encouraged employee participation through team challenges, personal outreach, and friendly engagement contests conducted for the partnership of the Patricia Allen Fund, helping the company surpass its initial internal fundraising goal of $20,000. Quote, the Patricia Allen Fund offers families and communities comfort, strength, and support during the moments of imaginable hardship. Coast Chief Executive Jonathan Prince said, quote, their mission lifts up families facing medical challenges profoundly in the most important way possible for this community and our employees. We are grateful for the chance to stand behind such a meaningful work and to have help extended that support even more so to families. The donation will help provide resources, comfort, and support for children, families, and receiving the Golisano Children's Hospital. Coast Professional, based on in Geneseo, provides businesses processes, outsourcing contact center, and collection services for commercial, private, and government clients. The company celebrates its 50th anniversary in 2026. Our next headline, Erie County Sheriff's Report, e-scooter hit by vehicle. Erie County Sheriff's deputies responded to a July 23rd to a crash on Holland when a vehicle struck a child driving an e-scooter on the intersection between Hunters Creek and Day Roads. The victim was taken to a private vehicle by a private vehicle to a local hospital and subsequently taken to Golisano Children's Hospital. The driver was ticketed. In other area calls handled by Erie County Sheriff's deputies out of the Clarence and Alma substation. July 18th. After two vehicle collision at the intersection between Big Tree and Strikersville Roads on Wales, both drivers were taken to ECMC for treatment, and one driver was ticketed. July 19th. No incidences were reported on this date. July 20th. A resident of Ann Drive in Marilla reported a fraudulent sale of Olivia Rodrigo's concert tickets. July 21st. No incidents reported on this date. July 22nd. No incidents reported on this date. July 23rd. A vehicle waiting to turn left into the convenience store parking lot on Walden Avenue in Alden was rear-ended by a vehicle they did not slow down. A vehicle attempting to make a left turn to Northrop Road onto Transit Road in Elma struck a vehicle traveling northbound on Transit, which was pushed approximately 25 feet off the roadway into a ditch. The operator on the second vehicle was transported by ambulance to a hospital. And on July 24th, no incidences were reported on this day. Our next headline, incarcerated individual dies at corrections facility. Erie County Sheriff John C. Garcia has announced the death of his incarcerated individual following the medical emergency at the Erie County Correctional Facility. According to the Erie County Sheriff's Office, 74-year-old Darko Tabor experienced difficulty breathing on July 24th and was evaluated by the facility's medical staff. At 4:48 p.m., Tabor was transported by a Lancaster Volunteer Ambulance Corps to Erie County Medical Center for further treatment. Hospital staff notified the Sheriff's Office shortly before midnight that Tabor had died. Tabor had been in the custody for the Erie County Sheriff's Office since July 7th, after being arrested by the Buffalo Police Department on charges of second-degree criminal contempt and endangering the welfare of a child. The Sheriff's Office said that Tabor has had a documented history of cardiac issues. Authorities had said there is no suspicion of foul play and the investigation remains ongoing. Our next headline, Kids' Day planned at Alden Farmers Market. Families can join an evening of activities during the Kids' Day at Alden Farmers Market and Carnival Cruise and Car Cruise on Monday, August 3rd at Town Park at West Main Street. Sponsored by the Alden State Bank, the event will feature a balloon artist, face painting, and music by DJ Gino. The market class of classic cars cruises open from 4 to 7:30 p.m. and continue every Monday throughout the late September, rain or shine. Now its 24th season, the markets offers variety of local grown produce, baked goods, honey, plants, tea, maple syrup, crafts, soaps, jewelry, and so much, much more. Sweet corn is expected to be available soon, while the other seasonal fruits and vegetables are already in stock. Select vendors are also accept WIC, SNAP, and Farmers Nutrition Programs, or FNMP benefits. Visitors are encouraged to bring a chair to enjoy the live music, browse the vendors and classic cars, and purchase food from the Alden Chamber of Commerce concession stands, which serves hamburgers, hot dogs, sausage, chicken snacks, cold beverages near the community center. For more information about the Alden Farmers Market, car cruises, and much, much more of the Chamber activities, please contact Alden at aldennewyork.org or call Elisa at 716-937-6177. That's Elisa at 716-937-6177. Annunciation Church to host its 89th annual summer picnic in August 21st through the 23rd. The Church of Annunciation will celebrate its 89th annual summer picnic on August 21st through the 23rd on the parish grounds at 7580 Clinton Street, which features live entertainment, food, family activities, and raffles. The 3-day event begins on Friday the 21st, with the festival grounds open at 6 p.m. The annual Annunciation Car Cruise Night will take place around the church grounds, while the food courts will offer a full menu including pulled pork, roast beef sandwiches. Nerds Gone Wild will perform in the beer tent from 7 to 11. On Saturday, August 22nd, a pork chop dinner will be served at Serbert Hall from 4 p.m. until sold out. The church's popular chowder sale begins at 1 p.m. and will become available for dine-in or takeout. Entertainment includes the Water Dogs from 3 to 5 and the Cold Beer Creek Band from 7 to 11. Sunday, August 23rd begins with Mass at 9 a.m., 11 a.m., and 5 p.m., with picnic activities running from noon until 4:30 p.m. Chowder sales will resume at noon, and Wendell's Chicken Barbecue will be available until sold out. The Samuel Tamby Band will perform from 1:30 to 4:30. The picnic will also feature continuous food court throughout the weekend and grand prize drawn at August 23rd, with a top prize of $5,000. Themed baskets and hand-quilted Amish quilts raffle, grocery drawings, and additional games of chance. Children can enjoy dedicated kids area featuring games, activities, a bounce house, cotton candy, and snow cones. Free parking will be available in the church school at Schwartz Road and parking lots. For more information, call the Church Annunciation at 716-683-5254. That's the Church of Annunciation at 716-683-5254, or visit www.annunciation.cc. Our next headline: 3 new inductees for the Music Hall of Fame announced at the Backyard Bash by Rick Oler. We'll get to that after this little quick word. You're listening to a reading of articles and features from the East Aurora Advertiser on the Niagara Frontier radio reading service. Once again, 3 new inductees for the Music Hall of Fame announced at the Backyard Bash. There was some surprise at the Backyard Bash on Thursday, July 23rd, in East Aurora's house band Never Been, headlining on the David Nordrum stage. The first surprise was the opening act was a rarity in its 18-year history, minus 1 year for COVID, of the Backyard Bash. Never Been frontman Mike O'Connor inducted 4 of its East Aurora talented musicians: John Whitney, Rennie Silkirk, and great East Aurora Music Hall of Famers Brad Felton and Bob Sorota, for the 4-song set comprised of Whitney lead off with his Glorious Days, followed by Sora's Everybody Needs Love. Selrick then led the companions to a rendition of Running in the Rain. The quartet finished with Felton's To the Health of Ireland, which was been remembered for the green tie dinner last St. Patrick's Day at Walloween's. After the set, your advertiser correspondent, who also doubles as a board member of the Great East Aurora Music Hall of Fame, or GEAMHOF, announced that Whitney will become one of the newest members of the multi-instrumentalist composer band leader and ubiquitous performer who gives the tirelessly of his time and talents to the community, often without compensation. Whitney has been a mainstay in the music scene for decades. Then it was the time for Never Been, who opened for the energetic rendition of Tom Petty's You Wrecked Me. The band, consisting of singers of O'Connor, John Shanahan, Mary Sawyer, guitarist Bob Sawyer, and Brian Mizwali, bassist Rob Ramsey, and drummer Harry Crook, would rock out the stage for the 25-song set with tunes like Play That Funky Music, If You Want to Get to Heaven, Fortunate Son, and many, many more, in front of the crowd that were sprawls across the parking lot behind Vidler's. There would be more surprises half an hour into the set, and O'Connor's Advertiser general manager, Sandy Cunningham, who came up to the stage. It was Cunningham, along with the Advertiser publisher Grant Hamilton, who had been with the idea since 2008 for a concert series to attract folks to the Upper Main Street during the construction. While Cunningham's credits her team at the Advertiser for the bash's longevity, she has also been a driving force. This fall's Cunningham will be inducted to the GEAMHOF as a music supporter. The biggest surprise of the evening came from the GEAMHOF board member Sammy Cosmano. Bill Penzica and reappeared on the stage to announce that Never Been as a band would be inducted into the Hall of Fame concert at the Westfall Center for the Arts. O'Connor was reluctant to have been in the band, including the fearing it would look bad since it did co-founded the GEAMHOF in 2018. Unbeknownst to him, the other 5 board members of Cosmo Penzia, John Velzen, Gordon Rager, and I, behind his back when he missed a meeting for a golf game, to assure that Never Been would have the rightful place in the display at the GEAMHOF home at the Westfall Center for the Arts. After all, it would be the first inductee since the late John Diebel, who first encouraged O'Connor and Shanahan to go on stage on one of the best open mics, which were beginnings of Never Been. Since 2008, the band has provided the music and major events and celebrations for the East Aurora and beyond. Never Been, Cunningham and Whitney will join Diebel, Sorda, Susan Sprague, and John Hasselbeck of 2019. John Constantino, Joe Lambin, Felton, and the Miller family of 2021. Alex Niceforo, Wilson Curry, and David Hallett, Rob Montone, and Phil Ellick of 2023. Nojim, Matt Young, Doug Yonams, and the West Falls Center of the Arts of 2024. The Elderly Brothers and Joni James of 2025 in the Hall of Fame. Announcement finally done. Never Been rocked on until the sun began its descent behind the former Griggs and Ball Tower just past 8:30 p.m. The band closed with a spirited Symphony of the Devil, sending the assembled locals and returnees for their Union weekend home, in many cases for a further revelry throughout the village. Our next headline: Aurora adopts budget calendar for 2027 by Sean Cunningham, staff reporter. The town of Aurora has adopted the budget calendar for 2027's fiscal year. The first public meeting will be held at 11 a.m. Wednesday, August 12th in the Aurora Municipal Center conference room, where department heads will meet in the town board and budget officers Kathleen Mohaf. Prior to the meeting, department heads will formulate budget requests and submit signed forms of Supervisor Charles Snyder's office. A work session to review the tentative budget will be held at 5 p.m. Wednesday, September 16th in the conference room. The tentative budget will be filed with the clerk's Jean Vigor on Thursday, September 24th, and presented by the town board at the September 28th meeting. A second work session to review the tentative budget will be held at 5 p.m. Wednesday, October 7th in the conference room. Approved changes will be made to the preliminary budget will be adopted at the October 13th town board meeting, where the public hearing will be set for October 26th. Town board meeting residents will be able to share thoughts on the budget and the meetings. If necessary, the work session to review the preliminary budget will be held at 5 p.m. Wednesday, October 28th at the Aurora Municipal Center conference room. The budget will be adopted at November 9th town board meeting. At the July 27th meeting, the town board unanimously approved the budgets, transferred the account for the shortfall in funds raised for the July 3rd fireworks this year. The amount raised to cover the fireworks this year was just over $17,000, leaving a shortfall of around $1,200 to cover the contracted and invoice of the amount of $18,300. The money was pulled from the contingency account for the current balance of $40,000. It wasn't unusual for the 5 years ago to have several thousands of dollars left over, Snyder said. Obviously, the price of everything is going up. Snyder said the fireworks budget would be part of the upcoming budget discussions. Recreation Director Chris Musafin said he would like the town to look into creating a committee that helps focus on fundraising, not only just the fireworks, but other events that will take place during the day, including the parade, foam party, and in-park entertainment. Musafin said the amount paid to the marching bands who participate in the parade is currently covered by one individual. 2 budget transfers requests for the highway superintendent Dave Gunner were approved to cover an increase in cost of oil in the general road materials and supply. Over $9,000 was moved from the general road from the work rental equipment line, and $30,000 was moved to the fuel and other agency line. Gunner said that he would have asphalt index for August soon, and he did not expect prices to go down. Because school buses will be starting and running in September, the highway superintendent and the highway department will be needing to start paving. Gunner said that the department would be working on the Castle Hill Road soon. Luther Road will not be paved this year because it is a longer road. The board also approved the 5-year contract, with the accounting of Drescher and Malik LLP for auditing. The cost for the services were almost $33,000 last year and remains the same for this year. Each year, the cost of the services will increase by 3.5%. Snyder said that the initial proposal had a 3-year and 5-year option, but it felt comfortable with the 5-year contract, locking in the price increase. Everybody's accounting. They do a really good job, Councilmember Joseph McCain said. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. The board member approved the payment of the invoice from the Clean Harbor Company and undertook the cleanup and disposal of the acid leak of a current community pool in June. The total cost for the pump out of the disposal was over $6,400. The Aurora Town Board meeting will meet again at 6:30 p.m. August 10th at the Aurora Municipal Center at Oakwood Avenue. Our next headline from the Dear Editor section: The World Continues to Fall Apart, by Tom Casey of East Aurora. Dear Editor, how can our disappeared democracy be restored when genocide in Gaza, our leaders, could end abruptly, continues the substantial majority of us want to end? Israel continues daily to expand its occupied area in Gaza, taking more land and driving Palestinian population onto an ever-shrinking territory. Since the so-called ceasefire went into effect October 2025, 1,180 people, including over 250 children, with 127 being killed the first 3 weeks of July. Over 3,800 have been injured. Hundreds of thousands of Palestinian families are living in tents with no water, sanitation, heat, jobs to go to for over a year. How would each of these be like? Each of these be like this. At the Al-Masari family home in Gaza City, mother, father, 4 children were obliterated and turned into ash as they slept on July 21st, 2026. Daily airstrikes, shelling, quadcopter attacks, and shooting at the target residential buildings, tent encampments, civilian vehicles, and funeral processions, a police station, and hospital turned shelter, while we often are awakening the ground as they are covered with the children's and parents' blood. The injured cry out, while one day has begun, theirs has ended, or they're suffering in a horrible way, with a very limited medical supplies, care, and caretakers, as well as the killed and the imprisoned. Google is actively suppressing information, narratives, and post-date related to the U.S. Immigration and U.S. Customs Enforcement, or ICE, detention facilities. How soon can we make new democratic life respecting days begins in our country? And our last one, Langworthy only works for President Trump. Dear editor, this week Congress named Nick Langworthy raved about a bill to end insider trading by members of Congress. It was long overdue. Ask Chris Collins. But as usual, he neglected to mention one important thing about this legislation. It exempts Donald Trump. Trump had been making millions off his stock trades, buying shares, then touting the company on the Truth Social or in public statements. Why was Trump left out? Because Langworthy, or Lang Unworthy, has only one constituent, and it isn't you. Raymond Castro of Glenwood. You've been listening to a reading of articles and features from the July 30th, 2026 issue of the East Aurora Advertiser. We read the East Aurora Advertiser every Saturday at 10 a.m. Your reader today has been me, Brian Mendola. Thank you for listening to the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Our office is located at 1199 Harlem Road in Buffalo, New York, 14227. And our phone number is 716-821-5555. That's 716-821-5555. Giving the blind a chance to read since 1987. Thank you, and have a great day and a pleasant tomorrow.
Coming up next on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service, we have a reading of the Niagara Gazette. At noon, we have the Dunkirk Observer. And at 1 o'clock, we have some of our Northtown Bees, including Amherst, Clarence, Cheektowaga, Lancaster, and Depew. Stay with us for these readings and more throughout the day. You're listening to the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. As of this year, our agency has broadcast more than 300,000 hours of radio readings. Volunteer radio readers read newspapers, magazines, and books to area people who are blind or have a print disability, who are provided reading radios. Radio Reading's broadcast signal is provided at no charge by WNED. Radio Reading broadcasts from studios at 1199 Harlem Road in suburban Buffalo. Please let others know about Radio Reading. It's your service. For more information on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service, call 716-821-5555. following program is intended for listeners who are blind, have low vision, or have another print disability,